Hello everyone and welcome back to Formula Fun Sim Racing. It's myself Zabi here and we are live for round 4 of the 2025 Championship. And we are here at Bahrain for an amazing night race at Sakir. And now just moving forward, before we get started, let's have a look at the Drivers' Championship. And it's none other than Zen Zoku leading up at the front ahead of everyone with 77 points to their name. Then it is Fly Scott with 51 points. It is themselves in P2. A podium in the previous race with Scrubbin being behind. That was definitely a good advantage to the championship of Fly Scott. And moving forward, of course, it is the AI driver with 36, but there is one other driver with 36 points as well, Scrubbins, who is on 36 after a not so good race in Japan. They end up being in 4th place in the championship. And the man then comes, it is Footy, who had a best race of the season for themselves, currently in P5 in the championship. Then it comes High B, just ahead of Spliff in the Drivers' Championship. That's then it for the championship, and we're going to get started and underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And we're waiting for lights out now. It's 3, 4, and 5 lights out. It's already Zenzoku one more time on pole. Scrubbins in P2 with Fly Scott in P3 at the back. There is an incident, somebody hitting the wall, and that seems to be Scrubbins at the back has collided with the wall not once but twice. Then going into turn 1, it's going to be Fly Footy in P3 already with Fly Scott in P2 and Zen at the top. Meanwhile, AI drivers making moves. The likes of High B, Spliff, and Scrubbins at the bottom now. The bottom 3 drivers so far have been those 3, and now on the inside now. For a moment we saw there was a move coming up from Footy on Fly Scott, but not so far. That hasn't quite happened at this moment in time. There is drivers at the back. It's going to go side by side. It's going to be Spliff and High B there, as Spliff's going to go round the outside and make a move on High B and move up to P9. Spliff trying to make some progress. We haven't seen much of Spliff throughout the season so far in the first 3 rounds, but ooh, there goes wide. Slide almost. Going into the back of Fly Scott was Footy there, just late on the brakes and went a little deep into there. And we're going to see now the top 2 once again very close to one another. They had a nice little battle for the lead in Japan, and we'll see if anything's to follow by here at Bahrain. And these 2 are again separated by half a second, of course. No DRS yet enabled for the first 3 laps, the first 2 laps of racing. And at the back we're going to see drivers positions being switched up. It is AI drivers and Spliff then going, but High B, what a move round the outside. High B makes a move on an AI driver and moving forward into P8 now, and that is then the end of lap 1 as we move on to lap 2 out of 14, as we are seeing a lot of drivers on the medium compound tire, as we're going to see High B on the medium as well. Then the driver behind them is AI with Scrubbins in P10 after a race start incident. Might have gotten too much wheel spin got of Scrubbins there at the start and hitting the wall, just messing up their start. Meanwhile, High B is on those soft compound tires, of course. Drivers using different strategies, some starting on the soft, some starting on the medium. Ooh, that's close, and this battle we're seeing here once more again, just ahead of High B is a AI and Spliff. Spliff moving forward, taking some good positions at the start of the race. Meanwhile, around the outside, High B is going to be going against the AI. All they're going to do is switch back around here, not this time around, as they just have to back out. Turn 9 and 10 have to be the most hardest turn to nail here at Bahrain. It's going to be High B now right behind a car, but are they going to be going for a move around here? Not quite the case so far, as we just move back to our race leaders. And Zen has been able to keep the race lead. Meanwhile, Zen has still been able to be there. And Spliff at the back, as we don't see them on track, but somewhat a move done by them, which is a P4 they're into from P5 to P4. And Spliff, after not showing us much in the first few races of the season, they're moving forward, and then it's going to be a move coming up for Fly Scott into the race lead. And already, as soon as there was DRS, they did Fly Scott opening that rear wing, and the position has been taken from Zen, and the race leader is once more Fly Scott for the first time in this Bahrain Grand Prix. And we're going to see Zen has lost out to Fly Scott, and Footy's right behind as well within half a second. So this could be something interesting shaping up. And as always, Zen has started on those medium compound tires, different from other drivers, as they just are now in speed 2, and a little slide there, just slight little movement of the rear end from Fly Scott on the exit, and that could be going against them handy though, because sometimes these mistakes could be very crucial. As High B now looking forward for a move, and a little slide of the rear end as High B is almost gonna lose that car out, but just in time they get the control back, but they are not going to get the position back as they lose out now from P8 to P9. They mightn't try and go for it around here though, with the rear wing opening of them. Are they going to be able to make a move? Not quite. One this time around the outside. Abe's gonna go for it already. We didn't expect them to go around the outside around there, but oh, that's not going to be a move coming up by them. They won't be able to make the move stick. They tried for it. They tried to go around the outside, but in the end had to back out. Otherwise, it could have been very disastrous for both of the drivers, and definitely you don't want that. But this time around, going into the final corner now, down the inside line, Ivy's going to make a move and get their position, pit back and back into P8. But now the other AI driver is going to get a chance on them as well. It's going to be IP and versus the AI, as we were just watching that battle. We move on to the race leaders once more, and Fly Scott has been able to keep the race lead so far. Into lap 4 we are, and Zen is now must be looking to move forward and really only try and get his race lead back, but they haven't been able to do it so far, and this is a nice one done. And a race leader different from Zen so far in this race has been, it is Fly Scott. And the gap against Footy behind them was less than half a second, but now that gap is over 3.6 seconds. Either these two have been pushing super hard and trying to catch one another, staying ahead, or Footy has made a mistake, which would have got Footy down, losing that speed and time to these drivers. Oh, a little bit wide going there was Zen. Then maybe the dirty air effect, as we saw, Fly Scott was sticking to his line, and Zen went by a little bit wide there. This time around, the gap is going to be 6/10, and the DRS is going to, Zen is going to get that DRS, and the rear wing is going to be opening on the main straight as they just make their way around the final corner now. Is it going to be Zen overtaking, or is it going to be Fly Scott keeping their position? Meanwhile, it is one man who's after the driver ahead and trying to take a position up ahead, and that is going to be High B going side by side against the AI, who's going to be late on the brakes into the final corner, and it is going to be High B who take the position, and I'm assuming they'll take the DRS as well as soon as we get to the detection point. And no, they do not get the DRS. It was going to be the AI. They overtook the AI ahead, and then it ended up being ahead of them at the detection point. The AI might try and come back as into turn 1 they're going to go. Ooh, that was very close there, but that did not happen. For the AI, and High B stays ahead and stays in P7 for so far, but the AI is going to now try and come back. They can try and make an overtake, and they have done it once more before turn 4. They're going to take that position. This battle has been going on, and it seems to be going on still, and we're on lap 5 out of 14, and maybe not now, but in a lap or two, the soft tire runners should be heading into the pits and switch on to the medium compound tire. The soft tires are not going to lose a lot of laps around there. But now it is time for High B so far. I mean, we're going to see if they are going to get forward. They got DRS, but there is a car behind them. You must have had DRS, but now High B's going to go for it once more. This battle has been going race long, and again it is High B on the inside line before they could even get to the braking zone, and they're going to be overtaking into that left-hander. It's not a heavy braking zone. It's just a few downshifts, and then you get a chance to get through the corner, but still down there. But meanwhile, this battle exactly where he was overtaken. Zen is going to try and overtake Fly Scott there, but Fly Scott places his car beautifully there, trying to defend the inside line through the straight and go back to the racing line for the braking. But now, there's going to be a little slide. There's going to be a little movement of that car from Zen, and they're going to lose out even more time to Fly Scott now. That little mistake could be costly, and that then could be problems for Zen in this race so far, and the gap is 3 seconds, the most it has been after Fly Scott has taken the race lead so far. Lap 6 out of 14. The medium tires are going to be going on for a few more laps than those soft compound tires, but only 14 laps overall, with lap 6 out of 14 at this point, which it's going to be still over 9 laps remaining in this race, including this one. So there's still a lot remaining in the race, though. That's for sure, you know, still a lot remaining, but we'll get to know whether who's going to be at the top. These top 2 drivers have been able to do a pretty good job. Some nice battles, and almost, in a way, taking care of their race, taking care of their car, you know. Sometimes it's all about, that's all you're going to get. Let's get to the likes of Footy and Spliff still running in P4. I mean, what a race, and what a start did they have. Fantastic start for them. Currently running in P4 of this race so far, and it is going to be, for a moment we saw Fly Scott was going to try and go into the pits, but they have been trying to break the slipstream for Zen and not get overtaken. And what about High B then? They're going to continue their fair share of battles and once more move forward into P6. And just ahead is a AI of them, and drivers still staying out, still continuing on those soft compound tires as well. And now the AI driver's going to come back on him, and High B's going to be getting overtaken. The AI's almost not going to overtake one, but almost overtake 2 there. That was very close. Could have been a chance of a collision, but High B's just going to be there, and once more on the exit, get the overtake done, and get their position back. But once more, the AI's going to come back at him. He's going to find it very hard to defend, but will they be able to do it into turn 4? Yes, they can, and the other car ahead has been able to defend that golden AI. But High B now find themselves in between these AI battles. At least something nice for us to get through and get some battles out on track. It's 7 laps. Lap 7 out of 14, and I'm sure the battles have kept you entertained, all of you watching as well, as we are now just about halfway through this race after this lap. And once more it's going to be High B, even without that DRS. Before it was enabled, they got very close to the car, but going wide a little. It's going to be them again with that rear wing, and round the outside now. They're going to get that overtake done later on the brakes than the car ahead, and they get back to P5 and a position taken, but the gap ahead is a lot. It's over 10 seconds, so only a mistake from Spliff at this point in this race could get IB closer to them and to the finishing order. We don't know yet about any penalties or anything from these drivers. We'll get to know, of course, towards the end, or maybe later on in this race, but we'll see. And Fly Scott so far still have been able to keep that position, and look at that Spliff. We don't see that, but okay, for a moment we thought that Spliff was overtaking Footy, but they have fallen back. Maybe they have came inside the pits to get their pit stop out of the way. Not quite sure what exactly happened for them losing inconsistent positions, but that's what I think, that they definitely must have taken a pit stop and helping them go on a set of new tires. It's been a great race so far in terms of battles on track, and really drivers going all for all of it. And we're going to see, let's talk about the rest of the race so far. Fly Scott still leads ahead of Zenzoku. It's High B in P3 with Footy in P4. And I believe that the Footy and Spliff might have ended up pitting for the set of tires, considering them going into losing positions, going from into P4 and 5. Which might just be with both of them in. And now these two follow as well. The two leaders are into the pit lane. Ooh, that was very close there for Zen, and it would have been risky for a pit entry penalty, but we don't see anything pop up on the screen. It's going to be a pit stop and a set of soft compound tires on to the car of Zen there, with Fly Scott now into and exiting the pit lane in the race lead as well. This is going to be close between the two. Cold tires out of the pit lane, no temperature for grip, and High B is going to be in the pits now as well, but the top two, the leaders, are going to be there with both of them on different tires, soft tires and the soft medium compound tires. Soft tires taking less time to warm up, mediums a little bit more, but already 2.1 second the gap between the two, and High B get their pit stop out of the way, and with that, the other two drivers are going to move forward. Spliff and Fitty into turn one, they're going to go. There seems to be a spin, I don't know who it was, but it felt like a car losing out a little bit. Did it happen though? Not quite sure. Meanwhile, it's going to be there. A car, High B's going to be moving into P. High B's in P4. Not quite sure whose car that is, but that must be Scrubbins, I believe, maybe getting lapped as they already are in P10 at the moment and at the back of everyone. At the very bottom of this race, and lap 9 out of 14. This could well be interesting, as the gap is now 1.2 seconds. I'm in for the first stint. Soft tire versus the medium tire. Fly Scott's soft tires were able to stay ahead. Remember, everyone, just to show you, everybody of you knows, Fly Scott was the one who won the race in Bahrain last year. So we're going to see, are they going to be able to do it 2 years in a row? Are we going to see a new race winner of the season so far? Or is it going to be Zen making it 4 in a row? But this time around, it's very close. They are within the DRS range as well. And this is only going to be impossible for Fly Scott to defend. And if they're able to defend, there's going to be some excellent performance by them. Round the outside, they're going to switch to the outside line, but no, not enough for for Zen to defend, and Zen to overtake, and Fly Scott's been able to defend already. There is going to be once more time the DRS is going to get enabled, and this time around they're going to go on the inside line. It's going to be Fly Scott, or is it going to be Zen? And it's going to be Zen this time around, and they overtake, and already as soon as the new soft tires come in, they are faster and they are better than the medium compound tires, and that is already visible. Or Zen might have just been staying behind Fly Scott earlier on, just and stay in that DRS range and be there for the first stint and go for the attack and for the lead on this second stint on those soft compound tires. This is all continues on with Fitty back to P3 as well after the pit stop, and Spliff in P4 along with High B in P5. So far, this race now seems to be going to a calmer way of the battle in terms of battles, as we had some nice battles between AI, High B, and some other drivers in between in that first stint and first half of the race. This half now seems to be a lot calmer one, but we're going to see High B in P5 running just behind Spliff. Ahead of them is Fitty, ahead of them is Fly Scott, and then of course our race leader Zen Zoku. 21 seconds behind is Fitty now, the race leaders. But again, look at that. I mean, a not so good of a race from Scrubbins previously throwed them down the order in the championship, and once again they are currently in P10, not really at the race start, and they have not been able to recover ever since, and that has been a thing going against them in this race so far, which has they've just found it difficult to recover and get back to the race leaders in a way. They just have been lapped, and now running where they are in another spin, and that is going to be another spin. Who is that though? I believe that must be Scrubbins at this point, and yes, that will be Scrubbins. Another spin for them as High B moves past them and laps them one more time, and Scrubbins just not having the race at all, just simply going into turn one, that heavy braking zone, and the position lost for Scrubbins, and they lose it out to get it all. I mean, our race leader is now over 2.1 seconds ahead of everyone. Scrubbins loses out more time with a little mistake. Meanwhile, some AI drivers are having nice little battles at the back, but we're watching them lap 11 out of 14, which is going to turn lap 12 as they just make their way over that finish line in a few miles' time. With Fly Scott 2.6 seconds behind now. Fitty 24 seconds. Spliff having a very phenomenal race so far and looks set to finally scoring points, their first points of the season. Does Spliff seem to be scoring their first points of the season so far. Let's see. I'm in lap 12 out of 14. We'll get to know whether how good they're able to finish or whether they are able to finish, because you know that sometimes these mistakes, and especially when you haven't scored anything throughout the season, but then you're thinking that, okay, I'm about to do it, and a little slight mistake could all go against you. But we'll know, though, this might just be some redemption arc for Spliff so far this season, scoring their first points in round 4. Behind them is High B, who've had a consistent season, I'd say. You know, they haven't been able to finish on the podium or, you know, be inside that top 3, but they have done a very good job in my opinion. I mean, they've done a decent job. They've been there every race, every time, every lap, and scored as many points as they could possibly with their speed and pace throughout the season. And now, as it stands, it looks set between the drivers, with Scrubbins over a minute behind, so they look set for a P10 finish. Meanwhile, anything could happen inside that top 5 so far. We're yet to know the details. Of course, now the gap between the top 2 is increasing lap after lap, and definitely the strategy we've seen Zen use throughout the season with, you know, these races. Not a lot of laps. You know, they are decent laps for a good strategy, but not a lot to think about. So it's more about they start on the medium compound tire, and then in the end go for a soft tire run, which of course already we could see visibly faster, because you know that, sure, you're gonna take mediums longer for a few laps, a lap or 2 longer than you should be, but then you can recover that time and that positions lost throughout the race on those soft tire stint. As we move forward into lap 13, it's going to be High B moving into lap 13 as well. Just 2 laps now to the end of this Grand Prix. This was some battles, somewhat decent race towards the first half of the race, but then again the second half, just after the pit stop, everybody looked set for their own race. But the man on your screen has had a dominant season, and they continue it on so far. They won 3 rounds in a row. They currently lead the championship with 72 points to their name. And we are about to see whether they can do it, though. They got 5.5 seconds. Only a mistake of their own could get them down now from that P1 position. Otherwise, they look set, and they look set for a victory here in Bahrain as well. And they would be on their way to make it 4 in a row, as they just gonna make their way the end of the middle sector. And the final sector now begins for Zen Zoku, your championship leader. Has won 3 races in a row. They're on their way to make it 4 in a row, as they just will make their final turn, and only final straight now. They're going to get to the finish line and come across to take victory here in Bahrain, as Zenzoku wins the Bahrain Grand Prix.
All right.
And then it's going to be Fly Scott coming home in P2. Another podium for Fly Scott to the end of it. Then it's Footy in P3 and Spliff, but we are having a look at High B to the end of this race then so far to see their finish. Maybe we don't have a footage of Spliff and Footy to the end of this race, but that then, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the end of this Bahrain Grand Prix, with Zen winning and with Fly Scott in P2 and Footy in P3. But we'll get to know as we just have our final race finisher to the end of it, and these are going to be the results for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And another victory for Zen Zoku, and one more podium to the tally of Fly Scott and Footy, both of them consistent bases. 4 podiums in a row for Fly Scott and 2 in a row for Footy, a very good one, and a fantastic result by Spliff, their best of the season so far, with High B in P5 and then Scrubbins at the bottom of the field in P10. They made a mistake and then couldn't quite recover, and that then was the end of their race then. And as I was talking about penalties of drivers, they definitely had a few, all of their drivers almost. And that's it for the Bahrain Grand Prix. See you next time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.